Hello everybody, welcome to MNB World Talk Show. Today we have invited an economist who is now working in energy industry in Mongolia. He is listed in Forbes Asia 2019 in 30 under 30 category. And also he is Chief Investment Officer of Newcom Group, Mr. Orchlon Enkhtsetseg. Thank you very much for receiving our invitation.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to ask you about, I was thinking about the connection between your major and the field in which you're working now. So how did you come to this sector? Was it connected with your major?
Yes, so I'm an economist by training. Originally, initially, I actually studied international relations.
Okay.
But then midway through university, I decided to switch to economics. And the reason I chose economics was, well, firstly, it was, I thought that economics, out of most of the disciplines that exist in the academic curriculum, economics gives a very holistic, overarching view of how things work, how things are connected with each other. And for me, when we've had a look through a broad spectrum of what's the best way to power the country, obviously renewable energy came up as the best solution option, because obviously the resources are limitless. We've got solar and wind resources. Combined, Mongolia can actually power almost entire Asia, so we've got plenty of resources, and then there's no harmful impact from renewable energy to the environment, and most importantly for Mongolia, for me at least, is it doesn't use any water. So water is a very scarce resource in the country now, and we need water to be able to get the most out of our mining industry. So because mining is quite a water-intensive industry, so if we actually used water to power the mining industry, then I think our water resources are at a risk of being depleted very rapidly. So for me, at least, was the best way around that was to try and power the country using renewable energy resources.
Okay, and as I know, you have offered in many Rio Tinto countries as well to work on projects, right? So why did you decide to stay in Mongolia?
First, I love Mongolia.
Sure.
I'm Mongolian.
Patriot. Okay.
Well, it's an interesting. I think it's a whole broader topic, right?
Sure.
But starting from my second grade, my mother is a diplomat. She works for the UN. So
wow.
we left the country when I was about maybe eight years old. So and since then we moved to Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Albania, Kosovo, and then I finished my school in the UK and then moved to the States for my college. And I think because of this, I never really felt at home in any of those places. And I've always
missing your
yes,
country.
exactly, and my family. And I've always had this goal from childhood that I need to do whatever I can to be able to bring myself home, and to be able to, have a good place to live.
That's great.
And so, yeah, I think it's a very primal personal desire for me to just be here. And then the second one I think is we're a very small population. It's a big country, but small population. Relatively small economy. So I graduated college in 2010, and I came back. And what I found out since then, what I've realized to date is the incremental impact one person can have in Mongolia is actually a lot bigger than if I were in the States or in Australia or anywhere else, because there's the States got I think 300 million people, so the impact that one person can have is very insignificant. But I think in a country of 3 million, and in a very rapidly evolving economy, whether it's negative or positive, the impact that one person
Still
can make is
yeah.
actually a lot bigger than most other places that I know. And obviously, we should try it and make sure that impact is as positive as we can make
Wow,
it. So
wonderful.
yeah, probably those two reasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now let's take a look then on your resume in photos, please. Let's shift to your life abroad. So you graduated of New York University, right? And could you please share with us with the most impressive, maybe funny thing that happened in your life up there?
Yeah, so when I first went to NYU, I think NYU is the largest private university in the United States. So the total student body number, I think, if I recall correctly, is something around 40,000 students, both undergraduate and graduate. So it's a very big place with a lot of people. And I felt that when I first, my first 2 days, I was in a bit of a shock because, there's so many different people and everyone was pursuing their own interests.
And ambitions.
Yes, yeah, and everyone wanted to. Obviously, New York City is a great city, so everyone wanted to explore the city. Everyone had very different personalities and characteristics that I wasn't used to. So I guess the most important thing I learned from NYU was to try and to be independent and try and formulate my own thoughts, opinions, and principles.
Wow.
I started an internship for a startup T-shirt production company.
Okay.
It was a fairly small startup. It was, the whole operation ran out of the founder's apartment in Manhattan. And then first I started with folding T-shirts, and then apparently I was very good at folding T-shirts.
Wow. So, but did you choose it by yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
So the
Why T-shirts?
university has this database of jobs and applications, and the reason why I chose that was because it was a startup rather than T-shirts. It was a startup, and then not half, some of the profits went to charities, so I liked that aspect, and it was fairly close to my campus as well.
Okay.
Folding a T-shirt is a very mundane job. No one likes folding a T-shirt.
Sure.
It's a very thankless job. It doesn't have a lot of impact. It's not something that you wake up in the morning to excited
long-lasting
about.
work.
Yes. But then I tried every T-shirt that I folded. I tried my best because it was my job. I got paid for it. People trusted that I would do that job.
Sure.
So and then I think people saw that. The founders saw that this guy is folding T-shirts differently to the other interns, and that got their attention. And ultimately that gave me many more opportunities within that company to take on more responsibilities because they thought that if this guy can put this much effort and diligence into folding T-shirts, then maybe he can do a good job at something else, something more with more responsibility. And so I started helping out with the marketing, and then eventually I was actually in charge of the marketing. And then we needed to urgently pay the factory. We had a very large order come in from the New York City mayor's office. I think Bloomberg mayor was mayor at the time, for T-shirts. I think it was for Thanksgiving or something. And then suddenly we needed to produce these, I think, hundreds of T-shirts that we weren't planning for. And then we found a factory in Brooklyn that was willing to produce those T-shirts in a very short period of time. But then they wanted the money straight away. So I think we had roughly, if I remember correctly, $200,000 or $250,000 at the company, and then we put it in a suitcase, and then they told me to take it to the factory in Brooklyn as soon as possible. So you know, and you know, we took that was all the cash that we had in the company, right? So I had to take the metro, the subway, because we couldn't afford a taxi.
Right?
Because you know that would, from Manhattan to Brooklyn, it costs $70, $80, right? So I had a duffel bag of, I think, 250.
So you did all your best.
Yes, but you know, it was a very scary experience because you're in the subway with $250,000, you know, clung to your arms. And at the time, I don't think we had. Now we have Google Maps and everything that makes it easy. But you know, at the time we didn't have that. So I printed out all the directions to the factory, and then you get out of the subway, and I think it's another 40-minute walk to the factory. So overall, it was a very interesting experience.
So that was a very hard day for you, maybe.
Yeah, no, it was at the time, you know, I was sweating profusely, but
the most
now,
responsible day.
Now when I look back at it, you know, it's quite amazing that, you know, I think 19-year-old kid is you know on the New York subway with 200,
no experience,
$250,000 dollars, and you know,
that's so cute, you know,
has no idea where to go. So, but
nice. Another thing that is really interesting about you is that you were listed in Forbes 29, I mean last year, right? Yes. So it's 30 under 30. And could you please tell us about it more?
Yeah,
is it the summit or?
Yeah,
what is it?
I think a few of my friends had recommended me to this Forbes Asia 30 under 30 list. And it wasn't just only me. We had two other Mongolians that were also part of that last year's program. Very, very distinguished individuals. But yeah, for me it was a bit of an unbelievable experience because you know, I didn't think that I know what the Forbes 30 under 30 list is. Obviously, I think you know most of my generation knows, but you don't think that one day you'll ever be on that list. It had never occurred to me that would happen, and it was obviously a very pleasant, humbling shock. So it's basically it's a community that once you get recognized, you're part of that community, and then every year they host a 30 under 30 conference. So last year's conference took place in Hong Kong. This year's was supposed to take place in Tokyo, but unfortunately because of the COVID situation, it's been rescheduled, I think. But once you're a member, you have the right to attend every conference, which is for your lifetime, which is very cool. So you can network with the fresh sort of class of incoming. So
you're a member of your lifetime, right?
Yes, exactly. Wow. Yeah. So I thought that was very cool. But then, so during that conference in Hong Kong, I think, you know, one of the biggest question, well, I had two very big questions. One was, how did I get in there?
Yes,
I still don't know the answer to that one. The other one was, you know, these very impressive individuals from all over Asia, you know, how would they rank up against me? How do they sort of rank up and compare against my friends in Mongolia, you know, who I think are just as accomplished individuals as anyone else. The measure of success is really what everyone makes it. So you shouldn't be measured by what other people have accomplished or what society tells you or what the prevailing dogma is. It's, you know, whatever you're doing, if you do it well enough, if you put your heart into it, then your measure of success, you have to come up with those metrics and then you have to live by them. So that was a very good eye-opening experience for me. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Now then let's move to the package with the electrobus.
For our next project, we're working with UB City and UB Development Corporation to look at improving the public transportation system. And that's why we're partnering with UBDC to actually replace the city's buses, current diesel buses, with environmentally friendly electric buses. And we're trying to put in an operational system that makes public transportation much more efficient, much faster and affordable. And as part of that initiative, we're looking to replace at least 900 buses with electric buses over the long run. And Newcom is, together with UB Development Corporation and the World Bank and IFC, intends to invest up to $140 million to help improve the public transportation system. And this bus is an electric bus, as you can see, and it's one of the UB City's initiatives to introduce these electric bus pilots for us to test and make sure that they can run in the country.
UBDC is a main company who implement all mega projects in Ulaanbaatar city to implement the mega projects, especially for with the public sectors. And we work with the public-private partnership with the other companies, private big investor companies here in Mongolia. And one of the projects is called Urban Mobility Corporation, which includes public transportation, taxi, bike and scooters, and all the mobilities, even in the parking space and a school bus. We have like 4, 5, 6 projects to integrate all the mobilities in Ulaanbaatar city. So our goal is to achieve travel times from any point to any point in Ulaanbaatar city, which would be less than 30 minutes with using public transportation.
Wow, that must be productive work. So now let's talk about your family. Could you please tell us about your children?
Yes, so I have a wife and a baby girl. So I was married in 2018. My wife is a teacher. She's a university teacher.
Oh,
And we just had our first baby in March of this year.
congratulations with it.
Thank you. And it's been very exciting. It's been very
Sure.
busy. It's given us a lot of new perspective, and I think it gave us a lot more energy to try and make things, whatever we can, make things better for our child and hopefully future children. So that's been a very rewarding experience. Yeah, and I think as someone becomes a parent, they get a very new perspective on the world, on themselves, and how they want the world to be when their
New angles,
children grow up.
Yeah.
Which I think again, sort of makes me very happy about the job that I do, because I personally believe that I'm doing good work, and me and my team are doing good work that will eventually benefit our children, and your children, and everyone
Sure.
else's children, hopefully. And that gave me, I think, a lot more motivation,
Power.
and energy
Sure.
to be able to continue with the work that we're doing, because some of the work that we're doing is actually very challenging work. It's not very simple. So we're looking at trying to transform and improve whole industries and
Yes.
sectors. So I found that the one thing that is most needed when someone is doing something challenging is probably hope, and which gives you energy, and keeps you motivated to continue the work that you do. So I think again, becoming a parent has sort of refreshed that. So that's been really wonderful. Yeah.
Someone's hope and belief, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Right? Okay. I think as a new father, you are sometimes become really overloaded and maybe stressful, right? So how do you manage it? Let's take a look on the next package, which is connected with your hobby.
So there are two things that I really enjoy doing outside of work. One is spending time with my family, and then the second one is being out in nature and traveling to the countryside. And I find that hiking is the best and easiest way for me to combine those two things. And my family and I, we try to go out hiking every 3 to 4 weeks whenever we can. And when we're out in the open, in the nature, it also helps me get a fresh perspective on what's important in life, as well as why I'm in the renewable energy business to begin with, so that we can conserve and help protect our nature.
You're spending nice time, and maybe the last question of today's episode is, are you proud to be Mongolian?
Yes, a resounding yes.
So why?
Well, Mongolia, I think, as I told you, I've lived in a lot of countries.
Yes.
And when I was at NYU in college, I had the chance to be the president of the International Students Union. So it was a very big union, couple of thousand people from all over the world that attend the university. And part of my job was to try and listen to their problems, and if I could help them, whether it's emotional support
so
or...
you're also a psychologist, right?
Well, no.
In some ways, maybe.
And facilitate, problem solving with the university administrators, whether it's a visa issue or travel issue, or they get sick, etc. And I was shocked then, because most of the people that came to me to talk to me were from, say, Japan or Korea or whatever. And their number one problem was, I don't want to go back home.
Oh.
They said that, I've lived in the States most of my life. For me, the US is what I consider to be home for them. And but because of visa issues, if they couldn't find jobs in the US, then they would have to go back home, where they didn't have any friends or family, or didn't know their family even, right? And initially I couldn't comprehend that feeling, because for me, all I ever wanted to do my entire life was to try and go back home as soon as possible. And to hear people tell me that they don't consider their home to be their home, that was a very big shocking information for me, that took some while to think through and to digest and to finally understand. And I think the thing with Mongolia that I'm most proud of and I'm happy is I've never met a Mongolian that said that to me. Not just university, but you know, when you wherever we go, you travel, you meet with Mongolians that are living very difficult lives, say in Korea or in Europe or in the States, you know, working illegally, or you know, they've become legal, they have green cards, etc. Right? But every Mongolian I've spoken to, their number one dream is to come back home.
Sure.
You know,
Yes.
they always count down the days until the next flight, etc. And it's been the same for me as well. So I think, and I can't explain why. Maybe in 10, 20 years I'll understand why. What's that drive?
As I said in the beginning, you're just a patriot because of that, I think.
Well, hopefully. Well, I think for me, patriot is not just a feeling. You have to act on it, right? So you have to prove that you're a patriot. You can't just say I'm a patriot and become a patriot. You have to, by your actions and by your track record, you have to prove that you've consistently tried to do the best that you can for your country in the face of hardship and difficulties, right? So it's something that you earn. That you don't just, you know, say you can't just say I'm a good person, right?
Yeah.
So you
by doing nothing,
yeah,
right?
you have to prove that you're a good person, right? So I think similarly, being a patriot means you have to prove that you love your country and you've done the things to benefit your country, right? But this love for Mongolia, I think it's something that's so deep and inherent. I think it's love for our nature, it's love for our history. It's love for our families and the relationships that we have, and most I think importantly, it's probably love for the freedom that Mongolia has, because it's, you know, it's a very free country, right?
Yes.
You know, you
And
can go out
country.
and travel wherever you want.
Yes,
It's a beautiful
exactly.
country, right? So this feeling that everyone has of loving and wanting to go back to Mongolia, I'm very grateful for that, because as I told you, not every nationality has that.
Sure.
So to always know when you're in difficult times, or even when you're having good times, to always know where you belong,
Yes.
and have that sense of belonging and having a homeland.
Yes.
I think that's a very fortunate feeling that for me at least, not many other nationalities enjoy. So I'm very happy for that.
A
Yeah.
place where people wait for you, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was Orchlon Enkhtsetseg, who is a proven, I can say, right? Yeah, a proven patriot.
Hopefully, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.